Christian will wake up one day and realize religion is an opium of the mind and become communist, and that the Muslim and the Christian also believe one day these socialists will wake up and realize there is heaven and hell, and they will either be a Muslim or a Christian. But in the same vein, a Muslim believes one day the Christian will wake up and realize
Imagine that.
Muhammad and Allah are greater than Jesus and Yahweh, and the Christian believes the same. I'm just like, all three things that divide us and ours. In the Berlin conference, as we said, it was a white-filled room. They still talk in the Bilderberg on how to colonize us. It's a white-filled room. So how are you going to find a white man that's going to give you a philosophy to liberate yourself from another white man? Whoa. Do you honestly believe if Christianity was that liberating, you would find a Bible in every hotel room you check into, or the Quran in the Muslim world? Why would they give you something so freely that's going to liberate you? They don't give you what liberates you. Why don't I check into a room and I find the Bilderberg minutes next to my desk and read what they are talking about me or about world governance? Why am I finding a Bible that's telling me to focus on the world to come and not on this particular world? So I was smiling when we were talking and I was reading the comments that only we can do it for us, because I've always said we are divided by these three things which aren't ours. And then after the division of these three things, we are divided by the languages that are also aren't ours. When you speak bad English, they laugh at you. They say uneducated. But when a white man speaks bad Zulu, they say, he's trying, you know.
He's
yeah, he's trying. He deserves our accolade. This man is really trying. So we need to snap out of it. Honestly, I have no other way. For me, I use the phrases: detach from the matrix, snap out of it, clean your mind. And I've seen several comments on the site here that talk about decolonization of the mind. You know, I always say it would have been so easy if there was a dry cleaning place where they cleaned minds. We would take a lot of Africans for their minds to be cleaned there.
Don't give me a business idea, Mama Kanyise.
It's just you don't know what to say. Look, I was talking to my daughter and my husband last night when we were talking about what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not pro-Russia, pro-China, pro-Iran, as I am against the Western system. The only reason I tend to accommodate those three countries is because thus far they are and North Korea, and Cuba to a certain extent, thus far they are the only ones who have sense in their minds and not icy water flowing where their brains should be. They are the only ones who stand and say, hold on, Western governments, who died and made you God? Who died and told you, you will tell me what my currency exchange is to the dollar or the pound? Who died and made you an expert on my economic policy?
Imagine
who died and told you what I should be teaching at school? The rest of us aren't asking those questions. We are like sheep led to a slaughter. And in Africa, it's even worse. Now, when you try and explain to an African that when you walk around telling me Russia is racist, but you've never met a Russian in your life, but you've met a French, a Portuguese, an American white, or whoever, who are more racist, you are actually mimicking what CNN is telling you. You're not thinking. When you tell them that, they're like, oh, no. But Russia is racist. I'm just like, I'm done. I don't know what to tell you. Because for me, for you to even be watching BBC and CNN as an African, I always say I'm done.
Sis, I'd never do. I've stopped doing that almost a decade ago.
Yes, I've summarized you. I wouldn't give CNN to a dying rat that's poisoned from Ratex.
Yeah.
That's how poisonous that thing is.
Yes,
it's the same thing that told us there are weapons of mass destruction in Iran that were never found, but they reduced a second world country to Iron Age.
Yeah.
And nobody took anybody to court for it. So Africans go around sprouting these CNN, BBC positions to you, and you're just like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. That's why I said I wish there was a dry cleaning place. I could just take your mind and save you the trouble. And just let somebody clean it for you.
Here's the other thing, Mama Kanyisile, about us and this system, right? And using the exploitative and oppressive system to build lives and thinking that they're going to be lives that have a strong foundation. Recently, there was a lawsuit that was brought to the United States against these tech companies
Yeah,
that they're carrying out child
DRC.
labor
Yeah.
in Congo,
Yeah.
and they brought it to a United States court.
Yeah.
So you have a bully, right, in school. There's a group of bullies, and then you decide you're going to go to the head bully to bring your complaint about the group of bullies. And you, who has cognitive dissonance and some infection in your brain, is expecting that head of the bully group is going to give you an answer that suits you. This is who we are.
Can I tell you what's going to make you angry right now, including the listeners? Remember, it said, remind me. There's only one instance thus far where Africa has come together at the UN. It was last year, November, through what is called the United Nations Tax Convention at the General Assembly. The Africa group, led by Nigeria, by the way, Oludele, came together and forced a resolution that says global tax and fiscal regime shall be discussed at the UN, and the policy and the laws shall be set here at the United Nations General Assembly.
Sad.
The motion passed, but I mean the implementation is going to be uphill, because if you go to that vote, please look at who opposed it. It's all the people who are in the OECD, who are in NATO, who are your former colonizers, who are benefiting minerals from Eastern DRC, who are controlling Nigerian oil, South African gold, platinum, who are controlling us, who are the neoliberalists of this world. They opposed it. Why? Because thus far, anything on taxation and fiscal policy was being driven and decided by the OECD. I told you how many member states are in the OECD.
23.
And I told you when it was formed. Now, as a result of that, Africa, and we're talking global governance, so this is befitting. There is something called illicit financial flows. It's money that leaves Africa. Sometimes we call it capital flight, because it's money that's not staying. We call it base erosion. It's money that's supposed to be building the base to take us out of this economic quagmire. How does it leave? Through tax evasion, tax avoidance, profit shifting, price collusion, price misinvoicing, because the tax and fiscal rules are driven at the OECD.
Can I ask, Sister Kaita, can I add also foreign investments is another one. We're always looking for foreign investments. The funds never stay in Africa. They invest to take out.
Yes. But here's what's said. A study was done by the UN itself, UNECA, United Nations Economic Commission on Africa, from 1980 to 2010, 30 years. Sub-Sahara alone lost an estimate of $1.5 trillion. I can't imagine that amount. Here's the breakdown. That's where you're going to go mad, Sister Ndugu. Only 5% is direct African government corruption. We'll come back to it.
Imagine that.
30% is criminal. 65% is corporate crimes, tax evasion, tax avoidance, profit shifting. Basically, just making sure you're not paying tax in Africa, but you're doing business. What does that mean? It means what we've called white monopoly capital, and China's joined, or you call them transnational corporations. They don't only underpay our workers. They don't only transgress our laws. They don't only defile our land, because once you've mined in a place, it's no longer arable for agriculture. They also are not paying the taxes they should be paying. So that 5% government corruption, for me, I always say I blame you for the 65%, because if you were doing what you're supposed to be doing, this 65% would not be going on.
Yes.
So that was a landmark vote last year, because for the first time, we want to take the power away from the OECD. But how have they had that power, guys? From Ghana 1957 to 2023. And then you still want to call Africa free. That's another fallacy. My brother, you asked me what should be done. The first thing we need to wash from our minds is this concept of a free Africa.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I talk like you, my sister. English is English. That's bullshit, actually. There's no free Africa. That's cow dung. There's no free African country. And the one that tried, as in Libya,